as I was saying, like any good commando, you should be able to light a fire. Are you dropping a hint there, Steve? Safety first. So like any good commando, you should be able to light a fire using a lighter. Hello friends, I hope this finds you well. I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando and I run the podcast Bought the T-shirt. Welcome today to my good friend Steve's farm, and we are going to be looking at all things camping and cooking, or should that be tactical and cooking. So we'll get straight into it. We're going to be looking at cookers. We've got 4 to show you. The first one being this baby. This isn't a cooker that you'll find in the Arab states. It runs on kerosene or paraffin, so basically any form of rough petrol. And I bought this in Panama, of all places, and I used it to travel all through South America. It works on pressure, so the pressure is pumped in by this piston here. But with these pressure cookers, first of all, you actually have to build the pressure in the chamber, which is the fuel chamber, filling it with fuel here. And the way you do it is you put a little bit of fuel in this rim here and you light it, and what it does, it heats up the main body of the cooker, builds up the pressure in the chamber, and then it creates a jet, you can say. You can see the fuel starting to waft out of it. And there we go. Bit of a hectic flame at the moment. In fact, I'm going to move the GoPro back. But what will happen as the cooker heats up and the pressure increases, hopefully that flame should turn into more of a, how can we say, a burning flame. You can just start to hear now the flame taking hold. Obviously, the paraffin that's spilled into the cup, which is that bit there, it's starting to burn off. There we go. That would be your cooking flame. And don't be fooled, you might not be able to see much, but that is plenty enough to cook a meal, or tea as it's very often used in the Middle East. Now, to reduce the pressure, we just undo this little tap here, and there you go. So that is the Middle Eastern paraffin stove. Next up on this stove extravaganza is your old favourite, the MultiFuel stove, as you'll see in any good camping shop. This one's made by Primus. Here you go, fold the legs out to make a tripod. And this cooker will work on any fuel that you can find. It will even work on aviation fuel if need be. Diesel, petrol, paraffin. Again, as with any pressure stove, if you're running on a liquid fuel like let's say petrol, you'd fill this with petrol, you'd connect the hose, and then you'd pump it 10, 20 times to get the pressure up. And unlike our old friend, the Arabic stove, you don't need to preheat this one. That should just be enough. But far easier is just to use camping gas. As you know, camping gas, it's available in all shops, lots of garages. Turn it on the canister, and then you have the control knob for the cooker here. Right, like any good commando, you should be able to light a fire using just a flint. As I was saying, like any good commando, you should be able to light a fire. Are you dropping a hint there, Steve?
Not at all, just safety conscious as ever, Chris.
Safety first. So like any good commando, you should be able to light a fire using a lighter. There you go. That is hot. You can adjust the flame using either the canister or the control knob. Brilliant. Now, that would be my cooker of choice if I was out travelling around the world, or if I was in the military on operations. But we have a far simpler option. Believe it or not, in that tiny package is a cooker, or at least a jet. This is the cooker I took when I ran the length of the United Kingdom. Obviously weight was a big issue. And as you can see, that thing there really weighs rather a little. Simply screw it onto the top of a camping gas bottle, and this clever gizmo, this tripod, folds out and clips on the bottom for stability. You don't need this, but it does come in handy on uneven surfaces. So let's give it a go. Now, you might think that is it, but there's one more important addition to camping in the wilderness when there's bears waiting in every bush to eat you. In fact, no, it's not bears, it's the wind. So you need a windshield. These ones you can buy in any camping store. It's just a sheet of aluminium, folds out, you put it around your cooker, and then there you go. Now it might sound unnecessary, or it might sound simplistic, but believe it or not, just that shield will save you anything up to 50%, if not 75% of your fuel, because the wind is obviously blowing sideways and it's blowing the heat away from your cooking pot. But when I ran the length of the UK, obviously I didn't want to take a hefty heat shield. Weight was a premium, so I bought this one from China, and this heat shield weighs something incredible. It's about 10 grams, maybe even less. There you go, look at that. Now we're going to look at what would you cook in. When you're traveling around the world, if you're in the military, again, weight is always a premium. You don't want to be carrying heavy pots and pans. So this is what I did in the military, is I went down to Tesco's and I bought 2 cooking pots, lightweight aluminium, non-stick, which is a massive bonus when you're in the field and you don't want to spend a lot of time cleaning your kit, which you're going to be doing a lot anyway. Non-stick comes in handy. That pot, if you cut the handle off, it fits nicely inside the other one. You have a lid. Why do you have a lid? Well, obviously it keeps the heat in, and if you keep the heat in, you're going to cook quicker and you're going to use less fuel. When it comes to handling this pot, there's a few options. You don't want to use your hands because, as anyone who's been in the Marines, in the Norwegian Arctic will tell you, you end up with burnt hands if you don't have something like this. Da-na-na, automatic handle. Or you can just use a pair of pliers. Now, obviously, you can cook anything in those pots. You can cook your cup of tea. But something that many of us invested in again in the military, was a metal mug. This sits straight on your cooker. Tea bag in there, water, job's done. But not only that, but you could cook a lot of your rations in there as well. And it kind of beat the plastic cup, because that's never going to be a good result, is it? So, now for you budding young commandos that are thinking, right, what do we do for cutlery? Obviously down your camping shop you buy a KFS knife, fork, spoon. This is a nice little set. Obviously they always clip together. Small, so it's lightweight, and it does the job. But obviously in the military it's all about being tactical. It's about being quiet, because if you're in the field and you're doing this, then your enemy is going to hear you for literally miles around. So what do we use? A wooden spoon. You wouldn't have it this long. You would chop it off about there, and as you can hear, it's a lot less noise. There's one more cooker. And it's the cooker that's issued to you as a Royal Marine Commando, as a recruit. Comes as standard. They usually come, I believe, in a ration pack, and that is a Hexi cooker. Very simple. Open it out. Dun dun dun. And inside you get hexamine block. What is hexamine block? Well, it's basically a form of solid fuel, and I have to say it works really well. So you'd open your fuel, you place it in the middle of your cooker, your cooking pot would go on top like so, and obviously you'd light the hexamine block and job's a good 'un. What I will say is, I remember when I was in Marines training, which is when I used this cooker, you used to just break the hexamine block in half to make it last longer, because you didn't really need a whole hexamine block to make this cooker work well, or at least to cook a meal. That's it. Pretty simple. The hexamine cooker.